lovely to welcome you all here today. Really a joy. We've got a team in two halves by the looks of it. Some of the gap down the middle. But it's a beautiful sunny day, and it's a joy to well, I was walking out there early this morning, and it's such a difference from the change from the rain that we've been having. So I just want to say welcome, and we're going to light our candle, our Christ candle. And know that as we do, we'll do it quietly and that sort of getting centered and still, because it represents the Christ light in us and in all people. So it's a good thing to allow us to connect. And so thinking of the blessings of this time that we can be together today, to come together for whatever reasons that we do, but we come here in joy. For this daily word is, I am an essential part of creation. This is a really good affirmation. And as we say it together, really invite us to think about each word, particularly that word essential. I am an essential, meaning creation wouldn't happen if it weren't for me. I need to be here. I'm part of it. I'm essential. So let's say it together. I am an essential part of creation. Let's close our eyes and really take in the depth of meaning of this. Together. I am an essential part of creation. As part of God's creation, I am never alone. Divine life lives in me, and I am one with all that is. My divine essence calls me to participate in life by using the talents and the gifts God has given me. It is my sacred responsibility to bring them forward. I listen to my heart. What is mine to express? I gear up with tools to make a start. I leave behind whatever has blocked me in the past. God has entrusted me with gifts that need to be expressed, and I express them. By allowing my talents to blossom, I am an active participant in life, included in the plan of creation. I bless my oneness with others and joyously share my gifts. The Bible reading is from Romans. For all who have been led by the Spirit of God are children of God. For you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear. So let's say our affirmation one more time and then have a period of quiet. Together. I am an essential part of creation.
Let me afternoon's Bible reading is from John, chapter 13, verses 1 to 17. Now before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from the world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil had already put it into the heart of Judas, son of Simon, to betray him. And during supper, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel round himself. Then he poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You do not know now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." And Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "One who has bathed does not need to wash, except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are clean, though not all of you." For he knew who was to betray him. It was for this reason he had said, "Not all of you are clean." After he'd washed their feet, had put on his robe and returned to the table, he said to them, "Do you know what I've done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have set you an example, that you should also do as I have done to you. Very truly I tell you, servants are not greater than their master, nor are messengers greater than the one who sent them."
But John wasn't named John until 200 years after it was written. It was given the name John, the beloved disciple, because it does mention in the text the beloved disciple, but there's no evidence it was actually written by anybody who knew Jesus directly. But for me, what's important about John is that I feel Jesus' humility throughout it all. Now, the talk is about compassion. So what is compassion? I mean, what is it? I mean, for me, it's about feeling empathy with others. The emotion that I feel in response to suffering of others that motivates a desire to help. I mean, that's compassion. But I can also withdraw compassion. I can be compassionate a lot of the time. You know, an incident when all the floods started, and there was an interview on the radio, and a woman was asked, informed the presenter that she'd actually bought the house knowing it was in a flood area. And so instead of me saying, I thought, well, she's not disappointed then, is she? And so I can be, really kind of sarcastic and so there, for me, compassion is not ordinary human compassion. Can sometimes leave a lot to be desired in me. So the only way that I'm trying to understand compassion now is divine compassion. And I think that's what Jesus expressed. Now, he is the way shower, and so from him I learn. And I just want to read you a couple of things, other readings I've taken from Mark and Matthew and Luke, which shows his compassion. What does it? And from Mark, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. And from Matthew, Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. And from Luke, as he approached the town gate, a dead person was being carried out. the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and a large crowd from the town was with her. When the Lord saw her, his heart went out to her, and he said, "Don't cry, your son is well," and he healed the son. Charles Fillmore, in his book Revealing Word, says, "Compassion divine, in the heart of God exists an eternal tenderness and mercy for his children, and compassion human, a characteristic of love and mercy prompted by an understanding heart. A compassionate mind sees the error but does not condemn." It was quite common for people when they're visiting at that time to be given water to have their feet washed. They, wore sandals, coming from sand and dust, and it was a sign of hospitality. Whatever house or tent you entered, you were offered water to wash your feet, and if it was a wealthy home, the servants did it for you, the slaves washed your feet. So what Jesus was doing was not uncommon. Where it becomes extraordinary is that he did it halfway through the meal, not at the beginning, which would have been normal. And also he became a slave. When we think of a towel, we don't think of an M&S special, fluffy and nice. It would have been a piece of linen or a piece of, not cotton, but that kind of hessian or something. And he knew, while he was washing his feet, that this was his last time with his disciples. This will be the last time he ate with them. This will be his last chance to let them know how loved they were and what their role is in the future of his community. And so he's led by example by washing their feet. I think that Peter was absolutely aghast that here was this divine leader, with a towel around his waist, washing their feet. And it was pure humility, I think, because he knew that they hadn't fully got it yet. He knew who he was and what his message was, but he knew that some of his disciples hadn't really got the fact that they were one. And that by showing them that there are no bosses, there are no slaves or leaders, we are all one. I think it was his last attempt to show them what he meant in a physical sense. What's even more extraordinary, he knew Judas was going to betray him, he knew that, but he washed his feet nonetheless, because he was one with him. And I don't think all of Jesus' healings and his feedings was anything to do with the physical. He told us we weren't in lack. He said, don't worry about who's going to clothe you or feed you. Just worry about being at one with God. And so for me, the compassion was not that he healed them, but that he loved them. And he wanted to show them their oneness with God. And he did that by humbling himself. That's what I think. Anyway.
A step along the world I go. One more step along the world I go, from the old things to the new. Keep me travelling along with you, and it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me travelling along with you. Round the corner of the world I turn, more and more about the world I learn. Over new things that I see, you'll be looking at along with me.
And we bless it as it goes to support the work of unity in all that we do. And know that the blessings of God outwork in and through and around and expressing all of us as we have come together today and as we go forth from here today. And in every step that we take as we move forward in all our activities, in all our actions. Know that not only we walk with God, but God walks with us, that we are one with this presence in which we live and move and breathe. And we are blessed. Amen.
Amen.
So let's say the words of the prayer for protection that are in the programme, I believe. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us.
and the presence of God watches over us.